Thank you. Let me see. I was thinking about what we talk about today for inspiration, and I thought of the word resilience. And after going through a lot of things last year, I think resilience is a good word. We all go through ups and downs in our lives. We all go through personal and professional challenges. And it's how that we respond to those challenges that define who we are. Resilience is not just about bouncing back from the adversity that we go through. It's about growing stronger because of it. Here are a few examples of some people famous people that have shown what I think is great resilience. Walt Disney. Walt Disney faced many financial failures. He even went bankrupt. He was even fired from a bank job because they told him he wasn't good enough or creative enough. Albert Einstein did not fit well within the European educational system. And many people considered him to be an underachiever. And he even had difficulty finding a job after he graduated. Ben Franklin dropped out of school at the age of 10 and went through several failed attempts and apprenticeships before he obviously became famous. Colonel Harlan Sanders had a lot of personal and business failures, and it wasn't until age 65 that he achieved some success. Celebrated composer Ludwig Beethoven started losing hearing in his 20s, and by the time he was older, he was almost completely deaf. Considered one of the greatest basketball players of all time, Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team because they said he wasn't good enough. Thomas Edison dealt with some hearing problems, and he was even expelled from school because the teachers thought that he couldn't learn. And of course, every experiment he tried, many more were failures before they were successful. Considered one of the greatest painters in art history, Vincent van Gogh dealt with severe mental health issues, and he was largely ignored by the art community. And I found this really interesting. During his lifetime, he only sold one painting. And finally, two kind of fun ones. Elvis Presley. He faced significant setbacks early in his career, and his early career audiences and critics panned him. They didn't understand his music and his moods. And one of his first performances, Grand Ole Opry, was deemed a total failure. They actually told Elvis he had no future in music. And finally, the Beatles. They were told that guitar groups were on their way out and that they had no future in show business. So now I want you to think about just very briefly the times that you've faced difficulties. Those difficulties have, you've learned from those, your determination, your strength helped bring you through those. And it's in those moments when we face challenges that we learn the most about ourselves. Resilient people don't shy away from challenges. In fact, they embrace them. Because resilient people understand that the failure, it's not the end, it's only a stepping stone to success. Thank you.
Well done, Gary. And talk about resilience. Gary McCormick, Mr. Really a theme. Thank you, Gary. Here for introductions and guests, we have Jeff Moret. Let's give it up for Jeff. Excellent. Welcome to the guests. We have a lot of visitors today, which is excellent. So first we have Sam Overby, a guest of Joe Evans. Welcome. Sylvia and Bernie Lovely, guest of Rufus Friday. Welcome. David Brian Blondell, guest of his father, Reverend David Blondell. Victoria Carrington, guest of Laura Martin. Cole Meyer, a guest of Peggy. Meta Daily, a guest of Bruce Daly. And then Larry Spell, a guest of Sean Lyons. Welcome, visitors. Thank you, Jeff. And here with the lottery, got Kevin Weaver. Everybody pull out your tickets. I'm going to pull two. Call the first one. Please come up. Blindly pulling it. Number, last four digits, 3942. And one other. Oh, I'm 3942. Bridget, will you pull the card on my behalf? And number 3929.
All right, looking for Jack of Hearts.
Jack of Hearts. Oh, close. Let's go.
Offering your dollar.
All right. Looking for the Jack of Hearts.
All right, thank you for the festival.
Now you'll get it here. The total at second. $940, Emery. There you go. Hey!
Drinks are on mail.
Drinks on Emery. Hey, congratulations, the Jack of Hearts. Celebrating birthdays today, Liz Fowler this week. Liz Fowler and Crystal Newton. Last verse on three. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. You know, we had a board meeting earlier this week, and there's been some things since the last board meeting that made me feel required to come up and give a state of the club announcement. I'm going to go through this quick. Want to have as much time for our guest speaker as possible, but I'd like to just tell fellow Rotarians it's an honor to stand in front of you, in front of an amazing club of 220 members. The vibrant force of community and connection and swagger in Lexington is unmatched. Last week, I went on a mission trip to Honduras, and it was an amazing experience and really lit a fire in me. And I'm inspired to stay on a mission, a man on a mission. And today, I've got some reality to share and a vision that everyone needs to support to make happen. Reality is we have some budget challenges. We bring in just a little lower number of members each year than we lose. And since COVID, our membership took quite a hit, and it's been challenging to recover. We're not alone. Civic clubs across the nation have been dealing with this issue. And it's really left a mark. And to date, Dancing with the Lexington Stars has been our flagship and an amazing fundraiser, thanks to you. But it's walking a tightrope, and we need a broader stage. Here's the vision. 3 powerhouse fundraisers and a club that's growing. Maybe 240 or 250 members eventually. That solves our budget woes and lets us focus on what we do best. Helping those in need, making Lexington and beyond a good place to live, work, and prosper. And here's the plan. Here's where you come in. First, Dancing with the Stars, May 10th. Cornerstone, and it's go time. We've got a committee meeting today. If you've not been involved, jump in. We're locking in plans and making our biggest and best yet. We need all hands on deck. This isn't just a fundraiser, it's the heartbeat of our organization, and we're counting on you to make it shine. Second, we're introducing an around the world food and drink event. The 3rd week of June, modeled after Epcot World Showcase. Think Italian pizza, Thai dumplings, and Kentucky Fried Chicken. An event that reflects our global soul with countries from each continent, drawing in new faces to our organization. I need a minimum of 5 of us, and I've already seen people signing up to help me launch this and organize it. I need 2 people to focus on local international organizations, 2 people to focus on local international restaurants, and one to help me administrate. Last, Pickle and Pints, September 20th, Susie Basham will be leading this. Enjoy pickleball, one of the most popular sports right now. And we need to make it a little bit different and differentiate. So we're adding this component so we can enjoy some beer after a great day of competition. Single best, Susie, you need 10 people to jump in. So these three events, we just don't raise money, we raise the growth of our organization. And in April, as we kick off our second of two sprints, we're pushing hard for new membership, aligned with the Keeneland horse races. We're not going to hit 250 members overnight, but we need to make a big impact. It's like hearing the call to the gate. We got to be ready to run. The single biggest lever of our organization to keep our identity alive is membership. Imagine this. What if everyone in this room was able to bring in one new member? That's our spark. With 3 fundraisers and membership momentum, well, we're going to be hosting the large club conference in 2026. Confident with the stories of how we turn challenge into wins and success, clubs everywhere are watching. And we will lead the way. And if we don't, our club won't thrive. Our executive team has trimmed the budget and really leaned us out. But if we want to stay a big club and we don't stay a big club, we're going to have to make some more changes. So the good news is we've got 3 ways for you to help. Volunteer with a fundraiser. Jump in today with Dancing with the Lexington Stars committee meeting. Sign up for one of the others. I've got 2 sign-up sheets out front. Sign up today. 2, represent your company, your family, or anonymously by being a sponsor of Dancing with the Stars, the Around the World fundraiser, or Pickles and Pints. You can also buy a wheel horse ad. This is Peggy $350. And if you buy it now, you'll get 3 months, you'll get next year and 3 months free. Buy an ad. Secondly, you can also sponsor lunches. We try and make our lunches as affordable as possible. They're a cornerstone of who we are. However, they run about $750 in the red each meeting. And so I put my money where my mouth is. I've sponsored 2. I'm sponsoring April. And if anybody wants to sponsor a lunch, we're still working on how to improve the value for people who sponsor that. But we have an opportunity, and I'll give my April month to you. And then lastly, most importantly, we need to bring in new members in April. The single biggest lever keeping our club identity alive. We're not far. We're really close. Let's grow, fundraise, and lead with purpose. Let's build a stronger Rotary, a club that thrives for our community and the world. And by a show of applause, who's with me? Sounds like goodbye, everybody. That's awesome. All right. It's time. Let's additional announcements. I guess tomorrow. The best networking event in town. Early morning mixer at 46 Solutions in Lexington Green. Come on out. Saturday, we have Miracle League opening day. Come out to Shiloh Park. The first pitch is at 10, but we get set up. What time do we get set up, Edwin? 9? What's that? 9:30. And kind of when we grill dogs, it's an amazing opportunity to play with kids on the field or just support an organization. That goes back many years with Rotary. And on April 16th, we're going to be back at Shiloh Park for Rotary doing Rotary differently. Come out to Shiloh Park and the Miracle League and see what the club built for the city. It's a membership social recruiting opportunity in line with what we're focused on right now. So what better way to show a potential member who we are than literally what we've done for this community. It's 5 to 7. Adult beverages will be served. All right. And one of my favorite things about announcements is introducing new members. Here to introduce our newest member, Sean Lyons.
Thanks. It's my pleasure to introduce somebody who's new to our club, but not new to Rotary, Larry Spell. Larry's been a Rotarian in Greenville, North Carolina, and in Salt Lake City, Utah. Larry moved to Lexington this summer to assume a position as assistant professor of music and director of instrumental ensembles at Transylvania, where he teaches music theory, music history, and he conducts the band and the university orchestra. Larry has his bachelor's degree and master's degree from East Carolina University and his doctorate in orchestral conducting from the University of Utah. He's held similar positions to the one he has at Transy at Pitt Community College and Guilford Technical Community College, both in North Carolina, and at Salt Lake Community College in Salt Lake City, where he's pursuing his PhD, and also had an adjunct position at University of Utah. Larry's a very active guy professionally. He's he's the national vice president of his professional organization after serving as national secretary and Western region president. He's on the conducting faculty of the International Institute of Conductors. He founded a community orchestra when he was at Pitt Community College. And while he was in Salt Lake, he was the music director and conductor for the Symphony of Hope, which was a big annual benefit concert for cancer out there, and also conducted the Utah Youth Orchestra and the Wasatch Symphony. So in his free time, he served on the Community Appearance Commission and the Greenville City Council in North Carolina, and on the Greater Avenues Community Council in Salt Lake City. So we're looking forward to having Larry be an active member of our community and our Rotary Club. So with that, Larry, let me give you your red badge and welcome you to the club.
Larry,
Thank you.
thank you so
Appreciate it.
much.
Thank you so much.
All right, now to introduce our guest speaker. Let's give a round of applause for Marcus Cross.
Good afternoon. I'm pleased to give you a very brief introduction for Rufus Friday, our speaker today. More information is in the wheel horse if you would like to look at his bio further, but I'm going to quickly run through this and leave time for our speaker. Rufus Friday is a distinguished media executive and leader dedicated to journalistic integrity, community engagement, and public service. He was appointed as the first executive director as the Center for Integrity in News Reporting, effective December 30th, 2024, bringing decades of experience in publishing, leadership, and advocacy for ethical journalism. The Center for Integrity in News Reporting was established in 2024 to lead the charge in solving the issue of regaining the public's trust in the media. Its mission is simple but ambitious: to promote less bias in news reporting and rebuild public trust in the media. Before joining the center, Friday served as president and publisher of the Lexington Herald-Leader from 2011 to 2018. He later served as special assistant to the president and chief advocacy communications strategist at the Kentucky Community and Technical College System from 2019 to 2021, and as executive director of the Hope Center here from 2021 to 2023. Please welcome Rufus Friday.
Marcus, I really appreciate that very much. And once again, thank you, and just really appreciate the warm welcome. I saw some familiar faces that I haven't seen in a while, and it was great to be able to reconnect with those individuals that are here as well. And I really appreciate this opportunity to come and speak with you today about, an issue that really affects us all. And it's, trust in the news media and the urgent need to restore that public's trust in journalism. Rotary is built on the four-way test, which of course we've heard and we've recited here today. They're powerful ethical standards. And I want to state them again. States, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all that are concerned? You know, these are the very same principles that should guide journalism. But somewhere along the way, the media lost its way. Trust in the media in America is at its lowest point in 50 years. This is just not an opinion. It's a reality backed by data. Since the early 1970s, the Gallup poll has tracked trust in U.S. institutions, including Congress, the military, the Supreme Court, law enforcement, and the news media. Historically, Congress ranked as the least trusted institution. But for the first time ever, the news media has taken that spot. In 1976, 72% of Americans trusted the media. Some of you remember Walter Cronkite and David Brinkley. We fast forward to September of 2024, and that number has plummeted 31%. Worse yet, 36% say they have no trust in the media at all. The first time in history that distrust outweighs trust. These Gallup surveys, they were typically around 1,000 to 1,200 people. Yet a 2020 Gallup Knight Foundation survey of 20,000 Americans in all 50 states revealed troubling trends around trust, media, and democracy. In bias perception, 49% saw a great deal of political bias in news coverage, while 37% see a fair amount. Bias is a problem. 73% say bias in news reporting is a major issue. In intentional inaccuracy, 54% believe inaccuracies in news coverage are intentional, and 28% believe facts are entirely fabricated. In persuasion over information, 79% feel news organizations they distrust are more interested in persuading than informing. So, okay, by show of hands here, who believes news outlets are more interested in persuasion than truth? Hold that thought for a moment. You know, this crisis also is just not an American problem, but it's worse here than anywhere else. The Reuters Institute for the Study of Journalism surveyed 92,000 people across 46 countries with a simple question: do you trust media in your country? Well, the United States ranked dead last at only 29% expressing any trust in media. So, how do we get there? The erosion of trust in journalism didn't happen overnight. There were several factors that contribute to it. There's the nature of bias. Humans typically seek out information that aligns with their beliefs. While this is understandable in daily life, it should not dictate journalism. Unfortunately, many journalists have blurred the line between reporting and opinion to you. Once again, do you believe today's news organizations clearly separate fact from fiction or from opinion? Yes, no. Depends on what source you're looking at, maybe. Number two, there's been a rise of the 24/7 cable news and social media. Before cable news, traditional newspapers and network TV followed some strict journalistic standards. But cable networks lowered those standards by rushing stories to air without first verifying, operating 24 hours a day, and with only a limited supply of news. Cable networks will not just do their own reporting, but report anything else reported without verifying whether it's if it's accuracy. That set a new unfortunate standard, and it lowered the standard as well. If what they reported was inaccurate, they just simply reported again that it wasn't accurate when they first reported it. That eroded the public's trust in accuracy and in news reporting. Social media took it even further, allowing anyone to post anything, and often anonymously. You know, people say things anonymously that they would not say to you in person. And unfortunately, it's led to this pool of vitriol and also unfounded allegations. Then, too many Americans, often that younger generation, began depending on social media for their news. They were getting their news and from a source that didn't have the traditional standards of accuracy, independence, and also impartiality. Then also there's a shift in the journalism education and hiring practices. You know, back then, traditional news organizations used to recruit the best local news reporters. Now, hiring often favors influencers over trained journalists. Journalism schools have also changed. A small but vocal group of professors has even openly questioned the value of objectivity. You know, one of the best examples of that was the Arizona State University's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism's 2023 report, Beyond Objectivity. It found 75 editors across the country advocating to abandon objectivity in news reporting. Can you imagine 75 editors coming up on the same things? Hard to get 75 people to agree on what's the best cheeseburger. But there is hope. Leaders in journalism are pushing back. When the Bring Back Objectivity piece came out, the Wall Street Journal did an op-ed, Bring Back Objectivity. New York Times publisher A.G. Sulzberger, he called for independent journalism. And Marty Barron, the legendary Washington Post editor, wrote, "We want objective judges. We want objective doctors. We want objective scientists. So it's natural that we should expect to have objective journalists too." Now I want to share a solution, and once again, why I'm specifically here today. You know, recognizing this crisis, Walter Hussman Jr., a visionary leader in the news industry, I encourage you to look him up. He founded the center back in March of 2024, and he wanted to lead the charge in solving the issue of regaining the trust in media. You know, our mission is simple but ambitious, and it's to promote less bias in news reporting and rebuild public trust in media. In doing so, our center, we're taking a multifaceted approach in tackling this, which includes rewarding the best examples of impartial, objective, and fair reporting with an annual nationwide journalism contest, honoring and awarding journalists $25,000 prizes each who uphold high standards of excellence in impartial news reporting in the media, in those primary platforms of broadcast, digital, cable, traditional print. And this year we've added an additional category for the White House correspondence reporting as well. That $25,000 prize that will go to a reporter is more than almost double what the reporter gets for winning a Pulitzer Prize. Also, having distinguished journalists to meet with students in journalism schools all over the country, giving guest lectures, teaching class, and explaining how, as Adolph Ox, who was the longtime owner and publisher of the Chattanooga Times, and later the owner of the New York Times in the late 1880s, when he stated just how to give news impartially without fear or favor, and why it engenders trust. Also encouraging both journalism schools and the news media organizations to adopt their own statement of core journalistic values and in news reporting, and most important, and I say this most importantly, to display them. And display them prominently so people like yourself, readers, viewers, and also listeners as well. And then encourage the public to reward those news organizations who adopt and prominently display their values, support them by increased subscriptions or donations and other forms of public support. Our center we also have a very balanced board of trustees who helps us with this process, with this perspectives. We have on our board retired four-star General Wesley Clark, who is a CNN contributor, as well as he ran for a Democratic presidential nomination back in 2004. Brett Baer from Fox News, he's on our board as well. Harry Kissel, who is the former Wall Street Journal board executive, is on our board as well. Charles Overby, who's a very distinguished Pulitzer Prize winning editor, and also he's the former chairman and head of Freedom Forum and the Museum, is on our board, just to name a few. Because we feel rebuilding trust in the media is a collective responsibility, and it requires action from both the journalism profession and also from the public as well. And we know that in order for us to succeed, we have to have support like individuals that are in this room from Rotary. So you ask yourself, how can you help? Well, first, what you can do is you can just engage your local media here, your media platforms, print, TV, cable, and encourage them to establish for you their statement of journalistic values, where news reporting is less biased and more trustworthy. Promoting accountability. Encourage those news outlets to publish their core values on their website, in print, or at the beginning or at the ending of a newscast, so that you can hold them accountable to their statement of objective journalistic values. Talk to your friends, educate others. Help them to understand why objective, impartial news reporting is very critical, especially today. Just got a few closing thoughts because I want to leave enough time for some Q&A. There's been over 2,000 newspapers that have closed in the past 15 years. More will follow if we don't restore your trust in media. The future of journalism belongs to those who uphold, in our opinion, at the center, those highest standards of news reporting. Because we really feel that freedom of the press, it's enshrined in the First Amendment. It was the only industry that the founders saw a need to protect. No other industry has that protection in our Constitution except the free press. And they did it back then over 200, almost 49 years ago, because they knew that a healthy democracy, it really depends. It really demands free press and trustworthy press as well. You, Rotary, you ask, is it the truth? Is it fair? Does it will? Is it beneficial? You should be asking the same of journalism in the news reporting. You should be asking the same thing of the news organizations or outlets that you follow as well. Like I said before, I wanted to leave enough time for a conversation, and I really do sincerely appreciate this opportunity to come and speak to Rotary today. These are the types of organizations that over the next year I'll be coming to and sharing the word of what we're trying to do at the center here. And the biggest thing that we know is that in order to make change, it's going to take individuals like yourself that push those media organizations across all platforms, broadcast, digital, cable, traditional print, to develop a set of core journalistic values. Our center is we're not a critic. Heaven knows there are enough critics out there. We want to be collaborators as well. And at the same time, in the next year, we'll be looking for a permanent home for our center. Right now, we're targeting journalism schools throughout the country. I've already had a conversation with the University of Kentucky here about the possibility of locating that center here, but you just never know. So thank you for this opportunity. I wanted to leave it open for a few questions if we. Lyle, quick question.
Wow, this is great. If anybody rank order the main news media organizations that we listen to, like see which one we're both honest, which ones do you think always has the best?
The thing about it is what the center is wanting to do now, working with Gallup, and I'll be down in Miami in a couple of weeks talking to the Knight Foundation. Knight Foundation and Gallup does the lion's share of the surveys. The last one that was done was back in 2019, and it did ask the question that we wanted, which is that we wanted to ask that trust question to those specific news organizations, and we've targeted 10 media organizations that we want to ask that question of. And then on top of that, the next question we want to add to that is that if you would consider coming up with a statement of core values, we've the Walter Hussman, his 11 news organizations, as well as his broadcast stations, they all have this statement of core values. On the package on your table, you'll see the statement of core values on the back side of it. That is printed on every single one of his news papers, and also the cable stations that he owns. They have that on their website as well. And we're not asking individuals to copy that. We just say that you need to have a statement of core values that your readers and your listeners in your market need to adhere to. And then it's left up to you to hold them accountable to it. He said that when they first did this 7 years ago, first thing that he did was he said he got calls from readers saying, "Thank you for this. We now know what to look for and how to hold you accountable when you feel like a story is not meeting up to the standards that you have set for your organization." And it also is used as a guide for the incoming reporters that this is how you're going to follow the guidelines.
Do you have an opinion of main ones like CNN, MSNBC, Fox News?
One of the things that I had to accept when I took this job was I had to remain nonpartisan. I couldn't be a critic in any of them whatsoever. I mean, I looked at them all. I mean, the thing that we are wanting to encourage them to do that will help you is that when you're watching one of those segments, that we've even had the idea of putting in, capital letters that this is an opinion segment that you're watching, so that you know the difference between an opinion segment versus a news reporting segment that's being watched as well. Because even in our first annual awards that they had last year, one of the winners in the category of independent and partial news reporting was CNN, a story from CNN that they did as well. It's in that booklet that you got as well.
Print, broadcast, printed broadcast, and the third, first. They're working. So that way, and quite often not, and get those readers, viewers, and listeners, which brings in money, obviously, more important, see, than the integrity of the truth.
Once again, we're going to leave it up to the public to decide on, who they're going to follow. If you look back at historically back in the Gilded Age, you had that session at that time where most of the newspapers or they lean one way or the other because there was money to be made in it. And it wasn't until Adolph Ox came on in the late 1896 when he purchased the New York Times and said that competing against individuals that are putting out yellow journalism was not the way that he thought they should go. So that's when he made the switch and said that we can grow circulation, we can grow readers by reporting impartial news and information without fear or favor. And there was a success. It didn't appear that in this day and age we're operating in now, we're back to those times in the 1890s and saw that those divisions. But our our mission is we know that we need to work to regain the public's trust, and we feel like that by having a statement of core journalistic values, you will want to follow those news organizations that have shared with you what their journalistic goals and values are going to be. I'm sorry.
Rufus, there's a organization that I've been following called Ad Fontes Media, which ranks different news outlets on a scale of bias and reliability. Can you comment on that if you're familiar with it?
I'm very familiar with Ad Fontes. If you want Ad Fontes Media, it's a group of individuals that does research. I mean, extensive amount of research on all the major platforms, and it's a ranking of what news coverage, whether it be political or opinion, and if it's center left, center right, or far right, and it ranks the news as far as what's factual and what is just filled with analysis. And right in the middle and in the top is the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, along with Stars and Stripes. You'll find that the BBC is, for the most part, that they're fairly on the middle side as far as when it comes down to primarily political coverage. But Ad Font, I wish I brought a copy of it. It's a good source to be able to look at, and you can determine exactly how these various news organizations how they lean when it comes down to news reporting. Yes, ma'am.
I actually have a question because I've used that and looked at it for years. And my father is convinced that that it's just a lie. And so, because it doesn't agree with what he believes. And so, I guess, and I don't know how to form this question exactly, but how do you bring someone back from that when they have paid so much attention to biased news for so long that they won't believe anything unless it already agrees with what they, I mean, I know confirmation bias is a real thing, but like, how do you bring someone back out of that hole? Maybe I guess it's like, oh, this is not that good.
It's a tough question. I really don't know. I mean, one of the things that what we try to encourage news organizations is that, make sure that your news reporting tries to pick up both sides when it comes down to news reporting, and also that there are some trigger words that you can read into that individuals are not focusing in on the news, where they're focusing in on a little bit more opinion, and that's why one of the key components that we're doing as well is working in the journalism schools and helping those young individuals that are coming through the pipeline to understand what impartial and objective news reporting looks like. Well,
Thank you.
Is there a simple belief that they can start to focus on this? What's the reception from the industry then?
It's been a little mixed for the most part. I think from the standpoint of, we really feel like that this is something that we should do. I think that it comes down to, how do we get there? And how do we change 50 years of you saw the slide just going downhill as far as the skepticism that's out there. And it really comes down to, as we keep, I know I sound like a broken record, but it comes down to just having a statement of core values as it pertains to news reporting, separating opinion from news reporting, because that's where I think that we have made it so confusing for you to understand if am I looking at an opinion or a news story. And I spent over half my life in this business, and on for came news, it was fairly clear what was opinion and what was news. Even in the traditional print, opinion stayed on the opinion page in a section. Even at the newspaper, you had an editorial page editor and editor, and there was a complete fire. The editorial page had nothing to do with the news side, and news had nothing to do with setting opinion.
Last question.
So, the Salt Lake Tribune in Utah, while I was living there, became from a profit to a nonprofit, as a way to sort of maintain independence and to have financial viability. Are you seeing that trend happening with more newspapers as a way to just maintain independence without having to sacrifice journalistic values and to still sustain themselves?
Yes, I am, and it's a little on the tricky side because there are some of these nonprofits. Once again, the ones that are funding the dollars for these entities, you have to be very careful making sure that there is no agenda from that nonprofit as well. But there are a lot of them doing that to help fill the gap from these 2,000 news organizations that have closed, and as a result have caused some news deserts as a result of the financial business model changing so rapidly because of what online did to us, to our model. Thank you.
Chris, will you be available for a few questions if people who weren't able to get their questions addressed after the meeting? On behalf of the Rotary Club of Lexington, I'd like to give you this beautiful lithograph our very own Bill Strauss created for you. Thank you so much. Happy spring, everybody. Let's go Kentucky, and we are adjourned. Actually.